Welcome to InnerShift. Suppose you face a deep betrayal in an intimate relationship. The emotional impact is sharp, immediate, and incredibly isolating. To protect itself from that pain, the mind creates an absolute rule. It declares that it will never trust anyone again. We think we're building a defensive shield. In reality, that rigid conclusion functions like the walls of an emotional cell. By trying to lock out future suffering, we inadvertently lock ourselves inside a psychological prison, severed from a full connection to reality. Eckhart Tolle maps out these mental traps as a product of our own unconscious mental activity. The mind operates within a conditioned realm. It can only react based on what it has already experienced or acquired in the past. This process often relies on insufficient evidence. The mind takes a single data point of pain and expands it into an unbending, universal law about life or other people. These conclusions quickly harden into thought forms that dictate how we see the world and ourselves. Because these thoughts are so rigid, they strip away the openness we need to perceive things as they truly are. This mental rigidity also fuels common anxieties, like the stress many feel when they have to speak in public. This panic stems from a deep-seated terror of uncertainty, the mind's inability to be comfortable with simply not knowing. There is a massive psychological difference between the objective fact of not knowing and the internal demand that we should know. When the mind panics for a definitive answer, it stops being creative. It just loops through its existing database of conditioned reactions. Demanding absolute certainty keeps us trapped in a cycle of anxiety and prevents us from accessing new creative solutions. To find a way out, we can look to the ancient approach of the philosopher Socrates. Socrates was famously called the wisest of men because he was the only one who realized that he knew nothing. Socrates was identifying a state of high awareness that functions independently of frantic conceptual thought. Tolle calls this the space of no mind. It's an expansive, stable awareness that exists when the constant chatter of the mind stops. This emptiness is the prerequisite for creativity, where original insights emerge free from old conditioning. When we drop the need to know, we tap into an intelligence that is much deeper and more effective than our old habitual thoughts. This need for certainty often damages our connections with others. We try to label people to make the world feel more predictable and safe. If you find out an acquaintance lied to you, the mind quickly brands their entire identity with a single label, liar. This creates the screen of conceptualization, an opaque barrier between you and another. Focusing on a single label filters out their totality, leaving only a simplified fragment. On a macro level, labeling entire groups ensures we only interact with mental images, not actual people. Once a rigid opinion is formed, true human connection becomes impossible. The solution is to intentionally practice remaining in a state of not knowing when we interact with the world. This isn't about being uninformed, it's a deeper wisdom connecting us, not a rigid definition separating us. Recognizing that our labels and prejudices are just mental constructions, not reality, immediately dissolves the walls of our self-made cells. We realize the prisons we suffer in were built by our own minds. Choosing to embrace uncertainty is how we finally step through the doorway and into the world as it actually is.